I'll try not to go over like I did last time. I was just so excited talking about the yoga and everything that had spurred off from that, from the yoga initiative. It was just so much fun. The second grant that I was able to secure from KVEC was a super sensory speech room. And what speech therapist or any special needs teacher would not be excited and thrilled about having a swing and ball chairs and all kinds of fun stuff in her room. Like I said earlier, I'm from my school is West Perry Elementary, and this is our first year in existence. We combined schools. We took Chavies Elementary, A.B. Combs Elementary, and Willard Elementary, and now we're combined and we're the West Perry Warriors. Go Warriors! So, with that, outside there's a speech therapy room that I share with another SOP, and outside our room is a common area. In that common area, we do yoga, and they installed a swing for me. I need to get situated first. What I purchased with my grant, the chunk of the money went to a joist installation kit. It is some big, huge beams that are in the ceiling that drop down and we hang the swing from. I also bought a platform swing, a height adjustment kit, Yogi Bow chairs, and some balance ball chairs. And I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the common area. There's some bleachers on one side that you can pull out and push back that the students use and teachers use to get the groups together. The swing, the joist installation kit is hidden in the ceiling and the swing hangs down, and there's my platform swing. And that's a whiteboard behind it, a dry erase board. There's a balance ball chair. And there's a yogi ball chair. It's actually called a chair, but my kids that are in wheelchairs and special needs, you can just put them on that and you can push it up around them. If you don't have one of these or you've never sat on one, you're missing out. It's like a beanbag on steroids. It's a lot of fun. And it will sort of stay, like you can smush it up around them and it'll keep them cuddled in and keep giving them that pressure. Okay, the fun thing about this money in this sensory room and this grant is that not only do the speech therapists use it, our OT comes and does occupational therapy in the common area using the swing and my materials. The special education teachers will come and use some of my materials. Regular ed teachers, I'll show you how we do that in a minute. We have some paraeducators that come and use this material almost daily. They can see that their child is starting to have a meltdown or getting frustrated and they just need a timeout. Well, they'll come and pull out the Yogi Bow chair. They'll just come sit a while. They'll pull it out in the common area. I also have an accordion door on rollers that we can push over, and that gives us, so it's not like we're just out in the common area doing all these crazy fun things. You can sort of hide it from kids going by and the distractions. Okay. Here's some ways that I have used my sensory swing in the sensory area. Vocabulary. Show me she is jumping. Show me, he is walking. And they're on their belly, so this works with breathing, breath control, core support, core strengthening. And they can spin around and find those things. Why is that not fun? I mean, come on. This little guy, we were using sign language. I would stop him from swinging. He would have to tell me more. Or I would say stop, and he would have to stop. I used it for PECs. During our PECs, this was a choice that they could use. They could work for it, or it could just be a choice. They could come get a Yogi Bow chair, or they could choose to come get the swing. And immediately, that's immediate feedback for these kiddos. I used it as a first-then board. First, we would have to work and spell his name. Then he would get to go outside the room and play on the swing for a bit. Here's how my regular education teachers used it. They would use it as a hard work reward because a lot of kids were saying, what is that? Why does the yoga teacher have that? Why do I want to go to speech? And they they would use it as a hard work reward if the kid, it was just one of the things that they could choose from. And Emily's here, she's just hanging out. And this swing I did not purchase. It came from my awesome occupational therapist. She had it, and she was like, hey, nobody's using it at East. Let's take it to West. Yeah. This little guy, we would use it for a sensory break with him. It would just cuddle him up. The only problem we had was getting him up in here because it was a little bit taller. So we'd have to lift him up and put him in there, and he would just melt. Like, you could just see his tension and his release. He would just melt into this little pod. I used it with my straight-up articulation kids. I have my iPad here, and we would say sounds, and he would just sort of sit and rock. I would make sure that he was trying to sit up. This really doesn't show it, but I would try to make him sit up and balance, and that helped with his breath support. And now I'm going to try it with my sibilants. Okay. The Yogi Bow chair, previously we would just lay in the floor a lot when we were working on K and G. We would have the help gravity pull the tongue back. Now I can just stick them on the Yogi Bow chair. They can think it's a lot more fun. I can shake them around and get it just right. It'll help prop their head up, and they're laying there and they're working on K and G production. Again, I mentioned core strengthening. Here's my little word cups. He would have to bend over and get which one I said, which letter I would identify. That was fun. Just alternative seating. They would come in and say, let's sit in the blue chairs today. I want to sit on the bouncy ball today. If they're a little bit short, I kind of figured out real quick, they could prop their feet right there on the side of my table and sit on the chair. This little guy's nonverbal. We just wanted him to interact. We basically just wanted him. We were starting on the TEACH program, and his activity for the day was just bending over, picking up the bean bags, and putting them in the container. He loved it. This little guy is one we also did yoga with, and he would go home, and his grandmother called and said, "What? He's in the floor, and he started doing yoga poses." Eventually, is what we figured out, and so the grandmother wanted us to show her and do things with that. And I'm sorry, I keep cross-referencing both, but it all goes together, all our motor movements. That's our OT. She was using it with a little girl, and I happened to run out and snap a picture. This little guy just wanted to chill out. He has a lot of sensory issues. He's a runner, but if he would show the card, then that showed which swing he wanted. They're in the other wing. They would call me and say somebody's, bringing him up because he chose to swing, and we just put him right in it. Again, just alternative seating, working on K's and G's, working on some different things. This little guy, we would take the ball down, and he would just like to roll on it, and that was just something that he enjoyed. He just liked being on his belly. So with the sensory materials that I purchased, we were able to do that for him. And my kids, they like to come in and their buddies after school. Teachers' kids are always there all the time. So they would come in, and it's like now my room is the jungle gym. I have to set some limits because they want to do obstacle courses and race up and down the hall, and it's a new building. I can't let you do that, but maybe after the buses leave. But they'll come in and they'll read and they'll hang out after school. As far as data goes, my kids, I don't know if it's just direct speech therapy that I'm doing or it's the inclusion of the sensory, but it's all together. They've made improvements, we've made progress, and they love the environment. The thing that got me most excited, though, is my nonverbal kids and how this is working with PECs. They love to, or it thrills me when they choose the picture. They choose the picture of the Yogi Bow, they choose the picture of the swing, and they want to use that and utilize this material, not only in speech, so it's not just speech, it's all around. My most embarrassing story is KDE came and they were doing some observations at our new school, trying to help, figure out how to fill the gap. And I had a little boy run up in the hallway and say, "Miss Liza, I want to jump on your balls before my map test." Okay, we'll do it. Sounds good. I'm like, we have yoga balls and therapy balls, so that's what we're talking about. But that was kind of mortifying. But there's my story, and I love my sensory speech classroom. Thank you.